This deck is criminally underrated. Why? Because of its ability to disrupt the opponent in brand new ways through the new Trap Trick card in Soul Fusion, allows this deck to dig into the depths of the ocean and drag opponents right on under. You can say that it can leapfrog the competition if given the right opportunity. I feel that Paleo Frogs are that criminally underrated. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go and destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, go ahead and hit that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. Also want to give a special thanks to every single one of my Patreons. Without you guys, videos like this would not be possible. I really do appreciate you guys and your continued support. Without further ado, I present to you a competitive Paleo Frog deck profile for this format. And yes, it is an anti-meta deck that can ruin the meta. Okay, so before we get into the deck profile, I want to show you guys these stats. Paleo Frog is a very, very dominant deck, and how underrated I think it is? Well, it can top a YCS level event if given the right opportunity. I strongly feel that this deck is that good, and it's actually already topped a YCS level event before. The new Trap Trick Trap card definitely does give the deck a lot more utility, but even better, it changes how Paleos can play. It is one of the very few anti-meta decks that can OTK if left unchecked. Let's start off by showing you guys how this deck plays so we can get you more acclimated into what it can do to disrupt the opponent as well as OTK. Starting off with the monsters, we run 3 copies of Swap Frog. This is the bread and butter of the deck. When he is normal summoned or special summoned, you can send 1 level 2 aqua monster from your deck to your graveyard. Now, the reason why this card is so important is because it fuels our Totally Awesome plays. Totally Awesome requires 2 level 2 aqua monsters, and Swap Frog is perfect because it can send the right target to the graveyard to special summon themselves to your side of the field. Another great thing about Swap Frog is that you can bounce 1 monster to your hand and gain an additional normal summon, except for Swap Frog. Now, that actually can come up in a pinch, but more often than not, you're not going to use it. You just want to summon and send as many targets to the graveyard as possible, start using your other frog effects. 3 copies of Dupe Frog is the card that we follow up with. The reason why this card is so key to the deck is not only when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, it is a win effect, so it will miss timing, but it allows you to add 1 frog monster, cough cough, Swap Frog, from your deck to your hand. He's also really good is because he forces your opponent to attack Dupe Frog first. If he is on the field, your opponent has to attack it to him. So summoning the Totally Awesome and then bringing out a Dupe Frog to your side of the field forces your opponent to deal with the Dupe Frog before they can actually deal with the Totally Awesome. 2 copies of these monsters prevent your opponent from attacking any of your monsters except for your Dupe Frog. So this card is extremely good to the deck. We follow that up with 2 copies of Ronin Totem. This guy is amazing. He's actually why the Frog engine is so powerful. You can banish 1 frog monster from your graveyard to special summon him to your side of the field. He's really good for getting you that essential monster presence that you need to start making your Link or Exceed plays. He is really powerful. The only downside is that he can't be used as a synchro material. If that's a downside, ladies and gentlemen. Then lastly, we do finish up our monsters with 2 copies of Lilith, Lady of the Lament. Now, this deck runs 30 traps. That's right, 10 monsters, 30 traps, 0 spells. And the reason why is because we want to get access to every single one of our traps. Lady Lameth Lilith actually complements that by attributing herself to set a trap card to our side of the field. The only downside is that we have to play 3s of a lot of the trap cards we want to see. Now, Card of Demise, Pot of Desires, and Pot of Dualities are pretty decent cards, but they don't necessarily fit with the strategy. Card of Demise does prevent you from special summoning and inflicting damage on that turn, which may or may not come up. It's still a really powerful card. And Pot of Desires can't be played because we really want to take advantage of banishing our traps or showing 3 traps. So I really decided to cut those and go with a pure 10 to 30 build and actually mimic what the YCS topping build was playing, except add a little tweaks because the TheCaliEffect is too strong. That is it for the monsters. For the traps, we run quite a bit of them. 3 copies of Paleozoic Marella. This is the strongest trap card in the game, or the strongest Paleozoic trap card in the game. A lot of people might think that, hey, it can't flip Link monsters face down, but it can flip a lot of the monsters used for Link summons before they can be used for Link summons face down, effectively disrupting them. Paleozoics also serve as monsters when in the graveyard. As long as you activate a trap card, you can chain the Paleozoic cards to summon them. Now, there are some really nifty ways to disrupt your opponent if they are playing Paleozoic, and that's activate anything not a trap card in response to their trap cards. That will prevent the Paleozoics from chain, so Paleo players alike, you need to be wary of that. And also playing against Paleos, that's a solid strategy for preventing those Paleo trap cards from being summoned as monsters. Also keep in mind, they're not trap cards when they're summoned from the graveyard to the side of the field, they're monsters. Next is 3 copies of Paleozoic Marella. This is the next best Paleozoic trap card to place inside of the deck. What it does is allows you to send a a trap card from your deck to your graveyard for later access. Marella can turn any of your next trap cards into 2 Paleozoic summons, or it can send essential trap cards to the graveyard for later use. 3 copies of Paleozoic Olindias. This is basically the Mystical Space Typhoon for the deck in the form of a Paleozoic trap card. 2 copies of Paleozoic Dinomachus. Now, a lot of players run 3, a lot of players run 1, some players run 0. I love and hate this card. I love this card because first, it isn't cost to discard. Secondly, it is a banishing removal card, but the bad part is that it requires you to discard a card from your hand. More often than not, if you're playing 30 trap cards, a lot of them you're going to be setting to your side of the field, so it does have its drawbacks, but when played correctly, especially with the spicy tech that I am playing inside of this deck, it is saucy. It's a great disruptor. 1 copy of Paleozoic Pacaya. This was actually because I decided to play the card that I'm playing, the spicy tech. But it allows you to discard a Paleozoic trap card to draw 2 cards. It actually could come in handy discarding your Paleozoic dead cards to draw additional cards. If you guys feel so, you could cut it out for the Dinomachus. It is what it is. Next is Paleozoic Lean. If you guys notice, the Paleozoic cards are actually based off of prehistoric fossils, but I actually call them like drugs, because lean, I don't remember what that one was named. Okay, just forget what I said. But lean actually allows you to return a banished card from your banished zone pile into your graveyard. It's really good for returning like Duke Frogs and Swap Frogs for Ronin access, or just returning your Paleozoic cards to your graveyard for further access. It's also a trap card that can be activated at almost any given time, which will trigger your Paleozoic cards in graveyard. 1 Paleozoic Hallucinogens. He is amazing at battle, so it reduces the opponent's attack, or reduces a monster's attack by half. First of all, you can use it on your own Paleozoics to trigger other Paleozoics in your graveyard, and secondly, it's great for battle. Your Totally Awesome is your strongest monster. At most, it's 2700 attack with Star Boy. Hallucinogens can actually hallucinate a lot of those cards, and Borload is actually unaffected by monster effects. It can't be targeted, so you can actually hallucinogen a Borload Dragon, cut it down to 1500 life points, and then clear yourself with the Totally Awesome. Since it's 2700, Borload's effect to reduce it down isn't even gonna matter. Next, we run 3 copies of the card that was debuted in us in Soul Fusions. Trap Trick is amazing. It's basically a reinforcement of the army for this trap-based deck. It is a godsend. You need 3 copies of this card in your deck. Basically what it does is that you can banish a trap card to set a normal trap card of the same name to your side of the field. From there, you can only activate 1 trap card for the rest of your turn, but if you were smart with your resources, you use your other trap cards, and then Trap Trick follows up by activating another trap card. The best thing about Trap Trick is that it is a trap card activation, so you can chain your Paleos and get another Paleo trap card off of the trap card you set with Trap Trick. This card is a godsend for the deck, and it sets up so many funky combos. Next is 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Now, this is actually one of the cards that I feel is mandatory, but I understand a lot of people can't afford. If for some reason you can't afford Infinite Impermanence, Breakthrough Skill is not a terrible option. The reason why Infinite Impermanence is infinitely better is because you can activate it from your hand, which could prevent you from being looped, or when you're going second, or if you're forced to go second, you can negate some of those critical monster effects. 3 copies of Heavy Storm Duster. This card is going to win you more games than you'll probably ever think. It allows you to destroy 2 spell and trap cards on the field. This Yu-Gi-Oh metagame is actually pretty heavy on spell and trap cards. It's searchable through your Lady Lameth. It's searchable through Trap Trick. It's searchable through your draw. You can actually draw into it. It's a really powerful card for disrupting your opponent. Excuse me, the drawback is that you can't conduct your battle phase. It's a trap card. We're gonna use it on our opponent's turn. The next card is a super secret saucy tech. It's not really a saucy tech, but I actually decided to drop like Gozen Match and Rivalry of the Warlords because those are like, they're good cards. They're pretty saucy going second too, but I didn't think that they provided as much power as this card. It is good. 3 copies of Reckless Greed. Now, resolving 2 in 1 turn has always been this deck's, or any deck that plays Reckless Greed, forte. So think about this. You have a pretty high chance of drawing 1 in your first turn. you have a pretty high chance of drawing Trap Trick or Lady Lameth in your first turn. That's already 2 Reckless Greeds. Activate your first Reckless Greed, chain your Trap Trick, activate your second Reckless Greed, and now you're gonna have 4 free cards. Did it matter? Well, through testing, through gaining the effects of your Totally Awesome, your Dupe Frogs, all your other advantage cards, even your Paleozoic Pakaya, I think that's his name, Pakaya trap card that lets you draw, the losing your 2 standby phases does not matter because you'll have so many resources to either dominate the game or OTK your opponent. It is insane to play this card. Nonetheless, I do side it out for like goes and matches and Rivalry of the Warlords because that's still really powerful going first. Next is 3 copies of Lost World. This card is, or Lost Wind. This card is amazing. Being able to negate opponent's monster effects that are special summoned, but then even more importantly, when the opponent special summons a monster, you can set it back to your side of the field to keep using your Paleozoic trap cards in the graveyard. And since we run 0 spell cards in the main board, 1 copy of Imperial Order. That is it for the trap cards. I know we run quite a bit, and it's really amazing how well built this deck is. I really have to thank what's this guy's name? Let me pause the video so I can figure out his name. I know it felt like I didn't go anywhere, but I did. I had to check. Michael Wisniewski. I was like scrolling through Paleozoic, strategies on YuGiOh top decks, just trying to figure out a strategy, and I came across his that actually topped a YCS leveled event. I'm like, whoa! Like just not running Pot of Desires, freeing yourself from cards like that, demising that, and just playing straight ways to search your traps. Way better than draw power. Search power has always been better than draw power, but the ability to just shut down your opponent with this many trap cards in the deck has never felt so better. Now, you do lose to deck cards like Denko Sekka, but first of all, Thunder Dragons are starting to main less Denko Sekkas. It's not good against the Dark World Danger, strategy. So I don't mind not playing Breakthrough Skill in this deck. It's a card that you could actually main board. You can drop a card for a Breakthrough Skill if you're seeing it a lot in your meta, just because you can send the Breakthrough Skill through your Marella and then negate your Denko Sekka and you can play YuGiOh, which is really, really powerful. I just think I didn't see enough Denko Sekkas for me to warrant it. Worst case scenario, I probably would drop a copy of Heavy Storm Duster, which I know it's like, why would you do that? It's probably the strongest, worst trap card in this deck. But I probably would drop a copy of that just so I can have that 1 copy of Breakthrough Skill. I actually was playing it at a good point in time. That's it for the main deck. I have 40 cards, 10 monsters, 30 traps. That's right, 30 traps. For the extra deck, 3 copies of Totally Awesome. I was going to run 2, and then I realized that I was a bad YuGiOh player if I were going to run 2. Best card of the deck. The reason why is because it's still a really powerful card to this format. You can negate the activations of almost anything, destroy it, and then set it to your side of the field. Also, when it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a water monster from your graveyard to your hand. You have to play 3 copies of this card. It's just so much disruption. It also allows you to summon frogs to your side of the field, cough, cough, Dupe Frog, forcing your opponent to attack it. Or if you're going for the OTK, you summon Swap Frog, send another frog, and then you start linking off for your Boiled Sword Dragon, and then make Totally Awesome. Next is 1 copy of Paleozoic Open Vinya. This card was actually a lot powerful before Master Rule 4, but it's still really good because it searches you to trap cards that you need. Sometimes you need a Canadian to disrupt your opponent, the Dino Mischief. Sometimes you want to draw. Sometimes you want to send cards through Marella. It's really good. 1 card that I can never say his name, I'm not even going to try. He's good because both of these monsters are unaffected by monster effects, but even more importantly, this can, once per turn during either player's turn, destroy a card, provide you some disruption. So that's it for all of the XE monsters that I play inside of this deck. Some honorable mentions I want to give a shout out to is, number 45, Daigusto Phoenix, Sky Cavalry, and Cat Shark. There's also another level 2, but I never made them. I literally never made them through testing, so I was like, they're fine. 1 copy of Borlo Dragon. This guy is pretty saucy. Best link 4 in the game outside of Firewall Loops. 1 card of Boiled Sword Dragon. You're going to make him a lot for your OTKs. If you guys can't afford him, it's really tough. But Topologic Gumblar Dragon is still really good because you can summon Paleozoic to where Gumblar points to and board wipe your opponent. But I would prefer the Boiled Sword Dragon because you can OTK with that card. Nightmare Unicorn. This card actually comes up a lot. You'll make it quite a few times. Summon Sorceress isn't a mandatory card. We are getting it in the Soul Fusion Special Edition. So if you guys haven't played it, it actually comes up for some OTKs or some really saucy plays. 2 copies of Mastar Boy. He's the best link in the deck because he gives all your monsters 500 attack. He puts your Totally Awesome at a pretty respectable attack, but him plus Totally Awesome means that you'll be able to recur 2 resources, which is pretty good. Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Cerberus. These guys are just generic links, generic spot removal. Link Spider is actually really good in this deck. You need it for when you want to turn your Paleo into an effect monster, so you can make your Borload or Borlsword, because Borlsword or Borload, it doesn't matter, requires effect monsters. You know, that actually comes up. And then the last copy is one copy of Nightmare Mermaid. This card, I use my Cerberus and my Phoenix to go into him, and then I can place another water monster to make him a Star Boy, which does come up quite a bit. You guys can actually drop the Nightmare Mermaid for whatever you guys wanted to. I preferred that was a preference because if for some reason one idiot gave me an Ibly, like a free Ibly. He was like, oh, you can't beat Ibly if I give it to you. I just turned it into a Nightmare Mermaid, then summoned another monster, and then turned it into a Star Boy and kept linking off. So it was like, I don't know why you did it, but you could drop it for whatever you want. I personally like it because I like the ability to turn my Cerberus and my Phoenix back into a water monster, which will eventually get me back into my Miss Star Boy. Totally awesome. That's it for the main board and the extra deck. Let me show you guys a couple of combos. Nothing real huge, but the deck is still a star. It's really good at doing what it does. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I am going to show you some combos that literally get extended depending on your hand. So basically the standard combo is Swap Frog and any water monster to discard. From there are so many applications, and if left unchecked, you can OTK your opponent. So what you're going to do is send the Dupe Frog to your graveyard to special summon Swap Frog to your side of the field, using its ability to send Ronin Totem from your deck to your graveyard. If you happen to have the Swap Frog and Ronin Totem in your hand, do the exact opposite. Bounce the Swap Frog to your hand and then normal summon it to your side of the field, and then send either Swap Frog, Dupe Frog, or Ronin Totem, preferably a Swap Frog or a Ronin, from your deck to your graveyard, just as your additional banish. Use the effect of Roni to banish your Dupe Frog to special summon Roni to your side of the field, and then those two monsters for an Exceed summon into your Totally Awesome. Now during your standby phase, you detach one material using Totally Awesome's effect to special summon Dupe's Frog to your side of the field. Now this creates a situation for your opponent. Your opponent can't attack into your Dupe Frog. They must attack into, or your Totally Awesome, they must attack into your Dupe Frog first. Also, you can use Totally Awesome to tribute your Dupe Frog to negate an opponent's card effect. You won't be able to gain the search through Dupe Frog because Dupe Frog is a win effect, meaning that if it isn't the last thing to happen, that it won't be able to activate its effects, but you will be able to keep your Totally Awesome and clear the board. Let's say hypothetically we can disrupt our opponent by tributing the Dupe Frog and keeping our board. During our standby phase, we will use Totally Awesome's effect, detaching the Swap Frog to summon another Swap Frog from our deck to our side of the field, using its ability to send our next copy and last copy of Ronin Totem from our deck to our graveyard. We can then follow up by special summoning both our rodents to our side of the field by banishing the appropriate frog monsters, and then using all four of these monsters for a link summon. So that link summon is going to make Boral Sword Dragon, triggering your Totally Awesome's effect. With Totally Awesome, go ahead and add the Swap Frog, normal summon it, send the Dupe Frog from your deck to your graveyard, banish the Dupe Frog to summon the Ronnie Boy, and then these two monsters for another Exceed summon. That's going to actually be able to make your Totally Awesome, which is enough to OTK your opponent. 3,000 twice in a 2,200 monster will get you the ability to clear your board. This can be combined with so many other card effects, like for example, if you just so happen to activate a Paleo on your turn and get a Paleo on your graveyard, you can summon the Paleo to your side of the field, banish your second Swap Frog to summon your next Ronnie Boy, and use both of these monsters for an Exceed summon into your second Totally Awesome. Now, I don't know about you, but most boards that stare down double Totally Awesome in a 3,000 attack Boral Sword Dragon that can't be destroyed by battle is amazing. It's really hard to counter, and I wouldn't say that a player wouldn't have a hard time beating this. Now, the next combo I want to show to you guys is not really, oh, it's a combo, but it's really simple. The only thing it's going to require is Trap Trick and Lady Lilith. Or you can go ahead and get straight to it. What you would do is you normal summon the Lady Lilith using its effect to set Reckless Greed to your side of the field. On your opponent's turn, go ahead and use the Trap Tricks and banish your other copy of Reckless Greed to set your next Reckless Greed to your side of the field. This essentially will get you 4 cards from your deck to your hand for free. All you have to do is skip the next 2 of your draw phases. You combine that with the other 3 cards you had in your hand, 4 cards you're going to get. You can probably run the table from your opponent and control the board from there. The next thing that it's really essential about this combo is that, actually, my apologies, you have to use the Reckless Greed first, Trap Trick, and then the second Reckless Greed. Don't use the Trap Trick. You don't do it how I do it. Activate the Reckless Greed first, then the Trap Trick, then the second Reckless Greed. But the best thing about it is that I activated 3 trap cards on my opponent's turn, meaning I can summon Paleozoic monsters from my graveyard to my side of the field depending on what it is, and it can put me in a really advantageous situation. Trap Trick can actually be taken advantage of. This little 2-card combo can be used to take advantage of any cards that you play 3 of. That's right, if you want to flip 2 of your opponent's face down monsters, you have Paleozoic Canada. You also have Infinite Impermanence for the exact same thing, and Paleozoic Marella. This deck is really powerful, and I know it looks like it's just a trap deck, but it can put tons of damage on the board, disrupt the opponent, and summon some huge boards itself. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like, and if you didn't, let us know down below in the comment section what we could do to be better. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day like I am.